Welcome back, folks. Here with us today is an example to live by. This is Jonathan Clements. He is the Houston Honorary Police Chief, the Honorary Fire Marshal, the Goodwill Ambassador for the Muscular Dystrophy Association, and recently has been adopted as a team member of the Houston Oilers and the Houston Aeros. Please join me in welcoming Jonathan and his mom, Linda. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Welcome, Jonathan. You have a fan club with you today, I see.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce them for us?
Sure. This is my sister, Christy.
Hi, Christy.
Best friend, Lee Beatson.
Your best friend.
Yeah. Dave Tippett, head coach of the Arrows.
Goes to the
And
Arrows.
then Chris Perry with NBA.
Great. Well, welcome, fan club. Appreciate that. Appreciate having you. So, Linda, when did Jonathan get into all this work?
Oh, I tell you, we started a couple of years ago doing some work with MGA and helping tell people their story, and through them we met Lee Beacham, who did a charity golf tournament, and through him we got hooked up with the Oilers and the police that did this for him.
You feel pretty good about yourself?
Yeah.
That's great. Great. Now, I think we have a tape of some of your work. Could we look at that?
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at that.
Eight-year-old Jonathan Clements is this year's MDA Goodwill Ambassador. His spirit motivates chiefs of police, business leaders, and NFL coaches.
If I never get to the Super Bowl as a coach, I made it to the Super Bowl in life because I had an opportunity to become close to Jonathan.
This 8-year-old helps keep things in perspective for his friend, Oilers coach Jeff Fisher. Houston Police Chief Sam Nucci recently awarded Jonathan a badge of courage. Jonathan is now an official deputy chief on the police force.
These eagles and sergeant stripes and captain's bars don't change anything at home. Whoever's the boss at home is still the boss.
But Jonathan's mother is more than his boss. She is his arms and legs. She is his strength. And he is her angel.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. We're really proud of you.
Thanks.
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you.
How's he doing, Linda?
He's doing pretty good. He really is. I think all this helps too.
Oh, that's great. Gives him a lot to live for.
It does.
Now, I understand that you and your sister have a little surprise for your mom, is that?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. She doesn't know anything about it?
No.
Okay, Christy. Hi, Christy. What have you all done?
Well, Jonathan has drew a picture for her.
This is a picture. Wow. Did you contribute to this picture?
Yeah.
Great. Great. And
Some roses.
some roses. Okay, let's give those to Mama. When did you get the idea to do that for your mom?
Actually, just a couple days ago.
Oh, that's good. So you're pretty fond of her?
Yeah.
What do you tell her?
I just like to say thank you for everything you've done for us.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that is so sweet, Rob. That's very beautiful, Jonathan. Thanks for sharing that with us. Next, we'll talk to a man that says the best way to warm a heart is with a little soul food.
Well, I think we're all hungering for hope. We're hungering for inspiration. We're hungering for the kind of thing we've seen on this show where people know that it's safe to open their hearts, that they can do more, be more, and have more than we've been taught by our parents and taught in school.
Welcome back, folks. I'd like to now introduce to you one of the authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul, Jack Canfield. Hi, Jack.
Hi,
John. Welcome. Welcome. Now, Jack and I were in a conference in Keystone, Colorado, And that's the last time I saw you, and now you've sold 10 million books.
That's right. You were a big influence on me, John.
Well, I appreciate that. But Chicken Soup for the Soul 1, Chicken Soup for the Soul 2, Chicken Soup for the Soul 3. What's the idea behind the Chicken Soup for the Soul?
Well, basically, Mark Victor Hansen, my co-author, and I travel around the world doing motivational and inspirational talks, and people would constantly say to us, you know that story you told about the puppies, or that story you told about that boy and the fireman? Gosh, I wish I had that in a book. I want to read that to my family tonight. Do you have a book? And we go, no. And after about 3 years of hearing that, thud comes the dawn. You know, hey, we better put this in a book. So that's how the books came about.
And it just took off.
Well, it didn't just take off. It took about a year. There's a phrase in publishing called the calm before the calm. The book comes out and you wait, you think you're going to be an overnight success, and it's not. We had to work quite hard at getting on television and radio and letting people know, but then all of a sudden it did take off, and I think we've been on the New York Times bestseller list for 104 weeks.
Man, that is unbelievable. Do I ever envy that? But not only that, you did Chicken Soup for the Soul 2, and it got on the New York Times, and then 3 got on New York Times?
Well, we have 5 books in the top 150 books in the country right now.
That is incredible.
The last one that we came out with was a book called Chicken Soup for the Surviving Soul, which is all stories of cancer survivors and how they overcame and beat the odds. And so we wanted people to know that you don't have to die from these diseases. So we're getting into books now that have themes rather than just collections of stories.
Great. What do you think it is, Jack, that we're hungering for?
Well, I think we're all hungering for hope. We're hungering for inspiration. We're hungering for the kind of thing we've seen on this show where people know that it's safe to open their hearts, that they can do more, be more, and have more than we've been taught by our parents and taught in school. And when people are touched by the stories like we've seen today and the stories in our book, something awakens that's always been there, that kind of got turned off when we were little. I have a son who's 6, and when one of the co-authors of one of our books was there working, it was raining, and he said to the guy, oh, do you think the rain's ever going to stop? And Barry said, well, you know, God's sad, and that's why it rains so much, you know, because God's crying. And Christopher, my son, went to the door, and he looked up, and he says, God, are you sad because Valentine's Day is over? Don't be sad. Easter's coming soon. And there's that naturalness, I think, that's in children, if they're not destroyed, to want to give and serve and be loving, and yet somehow through our growing up we lose it. And I think these kind of stories and experiences that we've seen here today rekindle that flame of who we really are inside.
Yeah, it amazes me. I hear the stories, the forgiveness, the courage, and I want to cry. I mean, but it's a good crying. Mm-hmm. It's a joy. It's a celebration.
Well, it's a resonance that occurs. There's a thing in music that if you have a piano here and a piano there, and I go over and hit a C chord on this piano, the same strings will start to vibrate on the other piano. And we are awakened in our own hearts by other people being courageous. And the word courage, as you know, comes from the French word heart. So courage and love are really connected.
You know, I waited in line in 1974 at the American Humanistic Psychological Conference. Jack was teaching 101 Ways to Improve Self-Esteem. That was an early book you wrote. Mm-hmm. Teachers were lined up to come to your lectures and workshops, and I just want to thank you for the work you've done on self-esteem.
No, thank you.
And what motivated you to do that?
Well, I started out as a teacher in Chicago in 1968. It was an all-black inner-city high school. And I had kids who were very verbal and very bright. I'd see them on the playground, and we'd interact in the halls. They'd come into my classroom, and they'd turn into statues. You know, and we were like, well, talk, say something. And they were so afraid. And what I realized is they didn't believe they could learn. For whatever reason, the media, their parents, other teachers had convinced them that they couldn't. And so my job, instead of teaching history, became to teach kids to believe in themselves. And that's how I got into this whole field of self-esteem.
Well, not only that, you inspired a lot of teachers to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I just want to really give you my personal, you know, endorsement of all that you do, and I just appreciate it greatly. Thank you. And you're going to stay with us and make comments as we go on. Next, we're going to find out about a special bond that formed with a California cab driver and his passenger on a 9-day, $4,100 cab ride to Canada.
As long as she wants to pay, I'll go anywhere in the universe. You know?
Now, I understand you kept the meter going day and night.
That's right.
Well.
But I gave her a discount, though. So
you gave her a discount?
Yeah, I gave her a discount.
It went up to $7,600.